Good evening, everyone. Today is Monday, March 31st, 2025, and the time now is 6 p.m., and I will call to order this regular meeting of the Town of Mead Board of Trustees. In accordance with the town's remote participation and remote meeting policy adopted by the Board of Trustees on March 13th, 2023 by resolution number 21-R-2023, remote participation will be allowed. The meeting link has been provided on the town's website and designated posting place 24 hours prior to the meeting. I'd like to remind everyone present, both in person and virtually, of the town's general guidelines for public comment at open meetings and public hearings. The guidelines are available online and on the entry table. There are 2 public comment opportunities on the agenda for persons in attendance at Town Hall to address the board. The first is limited to items on the agenda, and the second public comment opportunity allows any subject, whether it is on the agenda or not, to be addressed. If you have comments regarding the public hearing item, comments will be taken during that item. Anna, roll call, please.
Mayor Whitlow,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris,
Here.
Trustee Adams, Trustee Babcock, Trustee Crane, Trustee Hagan,
Here.
Trustee Schranz,
Here.
Mayor Whitlow. Today is Monday, March 31st, 2025, and you do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. And please join me in a moment of silence for those in our country recently affected by fire and other natural disasters. Thank you very much for your time. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Next is review and approve agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda tonight? Okay, hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda as is. Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Anna.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris,
Yes.
Trustee Schranz,
Yes.
Trustee Hagan,
Yes.
Trustee Babcock, Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you very much. Motion carries. We have an agenda for this evening. I will turn it over to our town manager for her staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. Trustees. You have my report. I do have a couple things I'd like to add. First of all, last Friday, Dr. Haddad and Mayor Whitlow and Chief Newbanks met with some of the school district staff to just talk about the new school that's under construction right now. Specifically, we wanted to find out what they wanted in terms of school resource officer. So we're working through those details. The school is very supportive of adding a school resource officer to the new pre-K through 8. Do we know what the school's going to be called? Does it have a?
I didn't hear the name of it neither. I don't think Chief did either.
Okay.
We'll find out for you.
Okay. And they talked informally, but we think there's going to be a ribbon cutting or groundbreaking for the new school on May 12th, which we have a board meeting that night. So since I'm in charge of preparing the agenda, I'll be cognizant of that for any of you that would want to go to that ribbon cutting ceremony. And that same week, we very may well have the one for 9½. We're working on the details right now. And we hope to see our construction crews out there and begin work as early as next Monday. So you won't be able to tell because there's so much work going on the interstate. It all is kind of going to blur together. But I did want to just add one more thing, and that is something Chief told us this morning at staff was really a nice little story. Apparently they had a truck, a semi that was coming down on County Road 7 and made the turn a little fast onto County Road 38 and went off and had to be pulled out. And he was so thankful to the police, and he just went on and what could he do? And the chief said he sent him 5 dozen donuts. So we just thought that was really nice because, to go out. Let's say, I don't know, man. I'm going over there tomorrow, though. I'll see if there's any stale ones, but I doubt it. Anyways, that's all I have on my report. If you have any questions.
Questions for Helen?
This might be a different item, but we had talked about the relocating the gas line. Is there an action item that we need to do on that or not?
No, there isn't an action item. He's referring to the gas line that has to be removed at the municipal facility site and has to be moved out of the road. We will deal with that either through a contract directly with the fire district when they do the construction, or I'll work through Erica and we'll directly contract with the gas company. But because they often do their own work, but it'll be a future item. We just needed to know to get this across the finish line.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris, do you have any questions or comments for Helen tonight?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your report. We'll move on to our informational items tonight. The first one is our police update by our Chief Deanbakes. Oh, Commander Smith, there you go.
Good evening, Mayor and trustees. Do we have a presentation? Cool. All right. So I'll give you an update on our training for the police department from last year, from 2024. And that'll mirror essentially what we're doing throughout 2025 as well. All right. So in our training report, you can go to that next screen. Just so you know, we are bound by a lot of different things on what we train on. So some of our training requirements, not just what we want to do, it's what some of these entities request or require of us. So the first and most important is the Peace Officer Standards and Training, which is the post board. That is what certifies law enforcement in the state of Colorado. They have requirements based on rules and also state legislation that they and us are required to follow. Failure to do so can actually lead to decertification of officers. Generally it's a temporary decertification until the officers are in compliance, but worse is that the department can actually lose grant funding. So if we're not in compliance with the training standards that the post board sets, then we can lose a couple of different things. So it's obviously very important that we are adhering to their compliance standards. Part of what they look at and what they require annually is driver's training, firearms training, arrest control, which they consider perishable skills, and then a certain amount of in-service hours as well. And then they have a 5-year requirement as well, which is mandated by state legislation. That is de-escalation, proper holds and restraints, anti-bias training, people with disabilities, missing and murdered Indigenous persons, and community policing. So those are what the post board at a minimal mandates and requires. There's additional things that kind of ebb and flow throughout based on legislation or various things that come and go as well. Next thing that we watch when we're looking at building our training program is CIRSA, our insurance provider. They also have a set of standards that we are required to meet every year as far as our training goes. And our policy, those are the big three: the policy, CIRSA, and post. And all of those together is what kind of guides our training and where we go and how we plan things. Thankfully, policy and CIRSA follow a lot of what post requires as well. So we're not, sometimes we can just double dip. We can do training that qualifies and satisfies everybody's need for that checkbox. Colorado District Attorney's Council also guides us every year. The legislation, obviously, they make a lot of different decisions and change laws. And every year we have 4 hours of training that guides us through those changes and some recent case law updates that come about throughout the previous year that we need to make sure that we're aware of moving forward into the new legislative cycle so that we're aware of those things. We also have a lot of instructors. It's a lot easier for us for scheduling and just to build the training program we want when we have certified instructors. And so we make sure that we do get instructors to different certification courses. Those are usually a week or two in length to allow them to continue training and teaching our own staff. Some of those are driving, firearms, arrest control, de-escalation, and a variety of our less lethal tools that we have and maintain within our staff, as well as the standardized field sobriety testing. That's a national standard so that we can do DUI arrests. And we have instructors that are able to teach us as well. Other requirements we're following are the regional programs. So through Firestone, Frederick, Tacoma, and Mead, we coordinate with our co-responder program, our victims advocate program. We have the crash team, which looks at investigating major crashes with serious bodily injury or death, as well as accident or crime scene reconstruction. They can do that as well. They have some pretty cool tools that can 3D map a crime scene or a accident scene. So specialized training that goes into that. And of course, Weld County Jail, we have to follow their procedures when we make arrests. So there's certain things we have to make sure we stay abreast on as well. And then of course, the equipment we wear all requires its various training. So body cams, tourniquet use, and let's see, Narcan, just other tools that we have in our gear bags in patrol cars as well. All of those mandate a certain degree of training. So all of that is what we are looking at when I'm building our training program. So that's kind of an overview of what we're required to do. So if you want to go to that next screen. Let's kind of give you a brief overview. This is just one of 2 pages. This is a master training plan that we have, that we maintain per our policy. We have some idea of what we're doing. But that helps me. I can go through policy and I can determine what is mandated as an annual or biannual or every 5 years or whatever training that CERSA post or policy requires. And so we have the spreadsheet that allows us to make sure that we're in compliance with what we need to be in compliance with. Make sure that if it's every other year that we're catching it and we don't miss it, and so that we maintain that. So that is a big piece of how I plan training throughout the years. I sit down with this and I see where we're at, what do we need, and what do we need for the next 12 months or the next 24 months. All right, next, thanks. Oh, it's missing some data on there, but that is our training pie chart. Is that all that showed up? That's interesting. So there's 2,110 training hours that is not on that screen. So that is what in totality, that's our 2024 training, is we had 2110 hours, and that's everybody, not each officer having that many. And so the pie chart kind of breaks down what we have in their training. That big orange, that's 43% of that was 909 hours. That's our in-service. So that's the bulk of where our training comes into place. Every month we do 20 hours of training. We have essentially a front half of the week and a back half of the week. We overlap on Wednesdays. So we do 10-hour training blocks on Wednesdays, and we do that twice a month so that so we can't all just go at the same day, because we certainly have to continue to cover law enforcement needs of the town. So we alternate. So we do the same 10-hour topics twice every month so that we can get everybody into that. So in totality, that's where 43% of our training is in that orange block there on the screen. SROs, they obviously a specialized unit. So some of those 133 hours was 40 hours of a basic academy for our new SRO. And then they both attended a CASRO conference, which is a state conference for our SRO program, where they get to network, they get to learn a lot of new tools. We've introduced the juvenile justice online. That's where we got some of those ideas, and now we're helping spread that to other organizations and SRO units. That was 66 hours, and then 24 hours of advanced SRO training as well. Our new hires got 185 hours, and that's just their in-house. So when we hire any new hire, they get 2 weeks of in-house with us, which we call our mini academy. That's where we go over, or we get them set up in all the various programs. And we do a lot more of the administrative type training. And then that prepares them for their 14-week field training program. That's actually tracked separately in a different training program. So, but every new officer gets another 14 weeks on the street training in addition to that 185 that they were receiving in-house. The 86 hours of active assailant training, that is what we every year we're joining with the Longmont SWAT team, other regional agencies. last year. And so in 2024, we went to Niwot High School over the summer, 4-hour blocks where officers went into the school, simulate there's an active shooting or some sort of active aggression going on. So it gets our officers that kind of real life as can be type scenario where they get to go in and train. And in addition, last year, we also had 2 supervisors go to incident management training, another 54 hours there. So that way they were, how do you manage a mass situation with multiple agencies and entities? Our crash team did 189 hours, or we did actually collectively with the PD and crash team, 189 hours of traffic investigations and accident investigations, sadly. We see a lot out on the interstate and Highway 66, and so we're on the interstate helping state patrol, but sometimes we're taking lead on those. And so our officers got additional training in that as well. 80 hours of SWAT training. Our sergeant is on the Longmont SWAT team. That's who we partner with, and he gets regular ongoing training with them as well. And then 324 hours of leadership and instructor certification, 204 hours of specialized investigative training. And because we certify enough instructors, we have a lot of skill sets from the experience that we have from officers that have come from other agencies as well. We actually taught 334 hours to our own staff or to others. So that's the importance of having that certification so that we can teach our staff. All right, that's that screen. All right, so some of our challenges. So on here, Mead's kind of on that lower third. And this is kind of a map of where we go for our training, because we have to obviously go out, and we don't have a range here. So we do use our range through partner organizations. Northern Colorado Law Enforcement Training Center in Loveland is it's an indoor facility and an indoor range, but it's only 50 or 75 yards. So it doesn't get us good rifle usage where we went like the 100-yard range. So we go other places for some of that. Or does it go to 100? No, I can't remember, but yeah. So up in Loveland, we're a little limited there, but that is also a driving track. So they do have like a slow speed skills pad, cone zone type training, real slow, meticulous driving. And then they have a high speed track as well that we can rent. We're going to Great Guns next week or next month I guess now it's May. So 2 months, almost next month. Tomorrow's April. We'll say next month. So, but we got to go to Great Guns. So that's a journey. That's up in Nunn. That's going to be a bit of a drive, but they have a nice range up there as well. Green Mill is where we do most of our training in Erie. Again, though, it's outdoors, same with Great Guns. So sometimes we did have to cancel in February when it was like, 0 degrees, I think, out with a wind chill. And we just can't have our staff out for 4.5 hours in training, trying to reload. So we have to be careful of that as well. So some of the outdoor training can be a hindrance to us when we schedule it, and then we have to cancel it. So that's a bummer. And then our arrest control, we were doing it 201. And when we expanded the road over here, 201, we always knew was going to be going away. So sadly, we've lost that area. But so we don't train over there anymore. But Ames Community College is a police academy. So they actually have some phenomenal facilities that are even better than anything we would have had in-house. So they have a great facility up there that we get to use currently. That's free, so that's nice. And then they have scenario buildings. So they have 4 different buildings where we can do building search training. We have simunitions gear where we can shoot at each other to make it more real. There's somebody after you. It's not just we just go through a house. We go through some buildings where people might actually attack us. So it makes it a little bit more realistic for us. And so that is one other place we go. So the challenges with that, obviously there's fees. We do budget that every year when we request our budget. We build that in there. So that is a part of it. However, it can be a challenge sometimes if we spend it all and we still want to do more training, then sometimes we're out of luck on that. And then the scheduling is the biggest piece challenge. I can build out an entire year of scheduling. Usually in October, we request all these outdoor other facilities for the following year, but we're vying against competition of other agencies that are using some of the same facilities. So Green Mill is used by a multitude of agencies and the public. And so sometimes we don't get what we want. So that's why we're going to Great Guns in May, because Green Mill was taken. So we can't always get what we want with some of the scheduling restrictions. And the Loveland Center is amazing, but it is a Fort Collins Loveland facility, and they have their own police academy. So they get first come, first serve basis. but there's still opportunities for us to train up there as well. It's just, we're a little more limited on what we can get sometimes there. All right. And now our successes. So there's a lot of good things that we do. So even though we do have challenges, the great thing is we are always in post-compliancy. We have never been out of that. I'm proud to say in 15 years of running training at 3 different agencies, never been out of post-compliancy. So never lost grant funding, never had anyone decertified. And that's a pretty big deal because I've been to some post conferences and it is not common, or it is, sadly, it's common for agencies to have officers that don't meet those compliance standards and temporary decertifications or loss of grant funding. And obviously we rely on grant funding, as you can see by our another success, is that grant funding really does help us make a successful training program. And last year we had $2,400 of regional scholarships. And for our officers, that accounts 22% of that budget is then we get back in grant funding, which is a huge deal. So that sometimes that allows us to do more training because the grant funds help offset what we've budgeted. Training equipment every year, there's an in-service training grant we get to request through the state, which is amazing. We've got the training trailer that we can use to store training equipment and take to these various sites when we go to the range days. And when we go to other facilities, we have a trailer paid for through grant money and a lot of our equipment, simunitions gear. So we've been able to purchase firearms that use specifically simunitions gear, which is like paintballs, and that we're able to shoot at one another along with the safety and protective equipment that comes with that. So we've been able to get some of that gear, and again, makes our training a little bit more realistic rather than just, you know, okay, bang, bang, I shot you. There's actually, you're getting hit and you're feeling it. And it creates a much more realistic training environment for us. We've had signs, we've had target stands in that training equipment, and throughout the years, scholarships that we can get with that in-service grant as well. And then $3,500, Chief went to the International Association of Chiefs of Police training last year, and it was in Boston. And because he actually spoke and presented on a couple of different topics, one of the organizations he worked with paid for that. So those kind of connections and those grants, obviously, that's huge for us to be able to have that and to be able to use some grant money, some free money to continue to make sure that we have this training available for us. And then other successes are our partnerships we have with Longmont. And so we have their SWAT team, and we have that resource, and we have connections with people there. So if we need something or we need resources, they're always willing to help out because we have a partnership and connections with them. Tacoma Police and Mead Police last year, we trained together at for drivers training. So we actually split the cost of the drivers track so that we could come together, not only network and build kind of rapport with other agencies we may actually be in a pursuit with or some sort of emergency driving. So we actually got to be at the track and work with them, and we simulate radio usage and all sorts of things. So it makes it very good that we can do that with other agencies. And then Frederick, Firestone, Dacono, and us all train regularly together with our various partners. We try and coordinate as much as we can some of the training, although schedules certainly conflict with 4 different agencies. Firestone's been pretty good about hosting some training. They bring in national companies, and when they do that, the 4 agencies share the cost, which actually drives down our tuition for each officer. And we've received some pretty excellent training just through some of those cooperations we've had with them as well. That is what I've got for you. If you have any questions.
Questions for Commander Smith? Armin?
You mentioned certifications.
Yes.
How long are the certifications good for? They're yearly or bi-yearly?
It depends on what we're certifying in. So driver's training, it's one and done. So been a driving instructor since 2010. I just went to one course, and that maintains throughout. However, there's different levels. So as a driver's training, I've put in, I don't know, over 1,000 hours, and that allows me then to go teach at post if I wanted to, which I haven't, but sometimes those different levels help. With our defensive tactics training, there's an annual recertification. Firearms kind of depends on there's certain things. We have red dots now that we have on our firearms. So that's kind of a one-time, you get trained in that. You don't have to continue to go back. But we continue to bring in and host and have our instructors do additional training because they're teaching. So we want them to be always aware of what's going on. And then SFST is an annual training as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris, do you have any questions for Commander Smith tonight?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you very much. Sir, thank you very much for your time tonight. We appreciate it.
You're
Right. Okay, we'll move on to our second informational item tonight. It'll be a community development update by our Community Development Director, Jason Bradford. Sir, you have the podium.
Thank you, Mayor and trustees. So I'm just going to go over some of the projects that are currently under review or under construction and just give you a brief update. I will move fairly quickly through this because I do have sort of a long update. I'm also at the end going to give you an update on where we're at with the land use code revisions or land use code update that we started this year. So if during my presentation you want to stop me and ask me about a specific slide, please do so. Okay, so I'm going to go over some of the projects that are currently under review right now. The first one, oh, and by the way, these I also handed out a map of all the location of all of these different projects that I'm going to review, which again, as I always do, I'm going to thank Colin for his help putting that together. He's my GIS guy. Access 25. So this is, I think everybody knows, next to the Home Depot and the postal development there. This is about 169 acres, and they're currently working on a preliminary plat. The proposal here is to create 11 industrial lots. The next project that's under review is Iron River Industrial Park, also known as the AMK property. And Colin's actually going to do a presentation for you later this evening. So this is located east of the Rattering property. It's north and east of County Road 34 and I-25. It's approximately 12 acres in size, and that project was annexed and zoned last year, and now they're going through a site plan, preliminary plat, final plat. The proposal here is to do contractor offices and industrial flex spaces with some potential for storage. And as an update to this, that property owner has also acquired the property directly to the east. Okay, yes, I did include that. AMK Phase 2. So this is the property directly to the east of that one that I was just referring to. And this is a little less than 14 acres in size, and it is currently going through the annexation and zoning and comp plan amendment process. And that's what Colin will be bringing to you this evening. The Meadow Ridge property. This is, let's see here, approximately 300 acres in size. This is on the northeast corner of Highway 66 and High Plains Boulevard, also known as County Road 9.5. There's approximately 26 acres of commercial, 122 acres of residential. They're proposing 672 single-family detached lots, and that is in its very final reviews of the final plat. We are really hoping to be able to bring this to you in the next couple months.
And Jason, and that's where the school site is as well, right? For an elementary school.
There is, yes, there's a proposed elementary school on that site as well. Thank you, Helen. The Zach Dirt site plan. This property is located north of Highway 66. It's in that Seekich Business Park. It is located west of County Road 9.5 or High Plains Boulevard. It's approximately 5 acres in size. And the proposal here is to add an additional office or shop to this site. So this is an existing site, and they're going to be adding a 7,000 square foot shop. And that site plan is in review, and that will very likely in the next couple of months be coming to you for ratification of staff approval. Elevation 25, lots 3 and 4. So this is phase 2 of that development that we saw those buildings get their their certification of occupancy late last year in 2024. So we're very excited about this phase two. This is north of the Ritchie Brothers property. It's approximately 11.4 acres in size. They're going through a site plan review and also a final plat review right now. And the proposal here is to add another 2 industrial flex space buildings. Grand Meadows, this property is located on the northeast corner of County Road 28 and High Plains Boulevard, or 9.5. It's approximately 108 acres in size, and the proposal here is to build 223 single-family detached lots and 150 single-family attached lots. And they are working through their very last remaining issues for a final plat. And this is another project that very likely you will be seeing in the next couple of months. And then everybody's familiar with the Quick Trip convenience store and fueling station that was issued a C of O. I think it was early in 2024. Anyways, right next door to it is O'Reilly's Auto Parts. So this is located south of Highway 66 and east of Foster Ridge Road. That's that road that brings you into that little subdivision there. And obviously west of Interstate 25. This proposed use is for a auto parts retail facility store. And they are in their very final efforts with their site plan, and we are hoping to be bringing this to you in the next couple months for a ratification of staff approval. This is a project that recently submitted their application. It's called Kitely Ranch. It's located on the the southeast corner of Highway 66 and County Road 7. It is approximately 137 acres in size. It is located directly north of the waterfront development that you all approved a couple years ago. The proposed use here is a mix of commercial and various densities of residential. They're proposing approximately 936 dwelling units, some of them single-family detached, some of them single-family attached, still in the very preliminary stages. And this property will need to be annexed, zoned, and platted. So they have quite a few entitlement processes to go through, but very excited about this project. For a frame of reference, this is located directly east of Liberty Ranch and the municipal facilities site that we've spent a lot of time talking about. And this is it, the municipal facilities site, south of Highway 66 and west of County Road 7. It's on the east side of the Liberty Ranch subdivision. It's approximately 33 acres in size, and they are currently going through their platting process, a minor subdivision plat, which will be brought to you very soon. And the hope here is that a library and fire district can be located on this site, and then the remaining property could be used for other public uses as well in the future. This property is on Welker Avenue, just east of Ames Park, east of our downtown. Actually, technically, it is in our downtown. And this property is approximately 36 acres in size. The proposed use is to establish a PUD, which will allow a mix of commercial, single-family detached, single-family attached, and even multifamily projects, properties here. They're proposing approximately somewhere between 500 and 600 dwelling units. And they are going through their final stages of their zoning or their PUD. The JMB annexation, this is a sort of an enclave parcel that's still located in the county. It's surrounded by the town of Mead. You can see the town of Mead boundaries in pink there. It's just north of the Boulder Scientific site. It's approximately 16 acres in size, and they are currently going through their annexation and zoning applications, which hopefully will be brought before this board for approval sometime this year. They're moving not too quickly. They're taking their time, but we're certainly hoping that we'll be able to bring it to you sometime this year. So these are projects that are now under construction. So you're all familiar with the Highlands. And this is approximately 65 acres in size with 203 platted single-family detached lots. Only 9 lots remaining. And this was based on the data from maybe a week or 2 ago. So it could be even lower than that. So almost complete with this residential neighborhood. It's being built by Land Sea Homes. And that's been a wonderful addition to our residential stock, located directly north of the Feather Ridge Estates subdivision. Red Barn is out on County Road 13 or Colorado Boulevard, and it's located south of County Road 32. And this is approximately 194 acres in size with 454 platted single-family detached lots. They just started building sort of towards the middle of 2024. So they just started building. Of those 454 platted lots, approximately 388 are remaining, and that is being constructed by Century Homes. And then Lakeside Canyon, previously known as St. Acacius subdivision, located on the southeast corner of County Road 28 and I-25, approximately 111 acres in size with 222 platted single-family detached lots. They are building very quickly. When I prepared this slide, they had approximately 61 lots remaining to be constructed. D.R. Horton is building those homes there, located directly west of Barefoot Lakes. Waterfront, this is located on the northeast corner of Ronald Reagan Boulevard, also known as County Road 28, and County Road 7. It's approximately 167 acres in size, and they have 391 platted single-family detached lots. Lennar Homes has purchased phase 1. That's phase 1 that I'm referring to there. And construction, all the plans have been approved. Construction has not yet started, but hopefully we'll see some earth moving happening this year. And also approved is Mead Place, located on the northwest corner of Highway 66 and County Road 7. That's approximately 154 acres in size with 311 single-family detached lots, with 29 acres of that land designated for commercial uses and approximately 13 acres for multifamily development. New Home Company, also known as Epic Homes, is actually, they have purchased several of those lots, and you all have probably seen quite a bit of earthwork and earth moving happening there. So we're really excited about that. They're putting in their infrastructure, doing some grading, and I'm sure we'll start seeing some homes popping out of the ground this summer. Yes, sir. Uh-huh.
I think it's rerouting the ditch.
Ah,
So, a lot of activity.
yeah, and Erica might be able to help me out with that, but I believe they were doing some ditch rerouting earlier this later in 2024. But right now, the work that's happening is putting in infrastructure and getting the lot graded, ready for So most of that residential will probably exit out on County Road 7. And you can sort of see in the outline there, it might be a little difficult to see, but you can sort of see the outlines of some roads there. So there's approximately 3 points of access, one that goes to County Road 7 and two of them that would go to Highway 66.
As just right in, right out, not full movement, I assume.
County Road 7 is full movement. That there will be a roundabout there.
County Road 7, but not on the 66.
County 66 will be right in, right outs. Both of them.
And so at what point will there be turn lanes put on 7 onto 66 from both directions?
So that work will be happening along with the work that they're currently undergoing. So some of the
That's part of
improvements.
their, it met warrants. They're gonna have to build that.
Yes.
And that work is hopefully planned for this fall, or not hopefully, depending on if you're a traffic nut. Because building that roundabout means there's going to be a closure on County Road 7 while they build that. And then there's the work on the lane improvements further to the south. So there's going to be a lot of disruption in that area beyond just the mounds of dirt that you're seeing right now. But that's what they're doing. They're preparing the site and they have to do the off-site traffic improvements before they can start building houses.
Okay.
On Colorado Boulevard and 66, is
For
it Red Barn that do they have to make improvements once they hit a certain number of houses? In Colorado?
Yeah, Bed Barn's already done there. That improvement.
As I recall, Red Barn contributed a fair amount of money to the right turn lane that goes onto 66, but it has to be constructed by the Meta Ridge development when it comes in. The one he talked about a few slides ago. So
Do you want me, would you like me to go back to that slide? No? Okay. Also under construction is Rangeview Estates, northwest corner of Adams and 3rd, or County Road 32 and 7. That's approximately 107 acres in size with 65 platted single-family detached lots. I'm sorry, I must have that wrong. Yeah, they built negative numbers. I have that wrong. I'm sorry. I think that's supposed to be 73 platted
I
single-family.
think it's
detached.
87, Jason. It just,
Okay.
that number sticks in my brain. I think
Okay.
it was 87 originally.
I apologize. I have the wrong number there, but approximately 67 lots are remaining. So those are larger lots with custom homes typically. So they don't tend to build quite as quickly as some of the others. And then, of course, we've all seen under construction, the Mead Community Center, which is starting to look almost like it's getting close to being complete. So we're all really excited about that. That's located on the southwest corner of 3rd and Martin Avenue. It's 1.1 acres in size, and that will house the future Town of Mead Community Center. And so now I'm going to just briefly give you an update on where we are at with the land use code amendment that we started this year. This graph here shows the project schedule. month one would be January, and month 12 obviously is December of this year. We are hoping we can complete this in a year, which is a very ambitious goal. If it goes a little bit long, I will not be surprised and I won't be upset, but we really will like to get this done before the end of the year if possible. We're in the third month of this 12-month process. And we are, well, as I said, aiming to complete by the end of the year. So the first task in this project was just general overall project management. So the consultants that the town hired to help us with this major land use code amendment, they came in and had introductory meetings with staff, with planning staff, with the directors and staff of other departments. They also met with other stakeholders from our DRC, or Development Review Committee team. Those are internal and external agencies that review all the project applications that come in. So agencies like Little Thompson Water, St. Vrain Sanitation. In addition to those internal introductory meetings, planning staff also meets with our consultants every 2 weeks just to check in, make sure that we're maintaining the progress that we'd like to maintain. And in this first task, the consultants also began working on a project website that will be going live very soon. That purpose of that project website is to be an opportunity for people to take a look at what is being proposed. Folks can have an opportunity to review some of the proposals when we get to that point, make comments, and generally have updates on the status. Task 2, that is code review and analysis, and that is the second phase of this large project, which we are essentially done with now, or just finishing up with this phase now. The point of this phase was to review our existing code and talk to staff and talk to some of our internal and external agencies about what are some of the things that we're hoping to achieve with this land use code update. What are some of the codes that aren't working as intended? What are some new codes that we would like to implement? And so that review of the existing code takes quite a bit of time. Then the other thing that we worked on during this task was developing an outline for the proposed new organizational structure of the land use code. So it's almost kind of like a table of contents where we have various sections of code that will sort of be the structure of the new land use code. And so we are taking a look at that proposal right now. Staff has provided some comments, and we're just finishing up the review of that. That proposed outline will be presented to the Planning Commission for their review and feedback very soon. And like I said, this phase is very nearly complete, and we are now transitioning into phase 3. And this is where all the work really gets done, kind of the main work where we actually start moving some of the sections of our code around and reorganizing them under this new structure. And then if there are any codes that we want to eliminate, codes that we want to revise, codes that we want to add, that will start being structured during this third phase. And again, all of these things will be presented to the Planning Commission, and also I'll be presenting you with updates from time to time on where we're at and make sure that we're headed in the right direction. These things will also be demonstrated on the website for the land use code update, which will allow anybody that builds here, that lives here, anybody who has a vested interest to have an opportunity to review what is being proposed, make comments, ask questions, understand the schedule that we're under. As part of that project website, we'll also reach out to anybody who's interested to ask questions and have a sort of survey questions, and those survey questions will happen from time to time. And then also we're in this phase, we are working with Lorelei to develop sort of a outreach, in addition to the project website, other outreach efforts. Some of the ideas that Lorelei helped us to come up with would be putting updates of our land use code and the progress that we've made in our monthly newsletter and social media blasts. Potentially coming to one or two of the Coffee with the Mayors on Coffee with the Mayor meetings and presenting our status at those meetings, or potentially at meet, greet, and eat events. We'd like to present some of our progress at the Community Day event in September, which will be towards the end, hopefully, of this effort. And then the community open house, when the community sort of has an event at the new community center, we're hoping to have a presence there as well. And then also, if there are any future business resource showcase events that we've had several times in the past, to reach out to the business community, let them know what we're up to, and let them take a look at some of the proposed changes and have an opportunity to comment. Once all of that is done, probably starting in August, or I sure hope that we're starting in August, we'll have our final stakeholder meetings with internal and external agencies. And then we'll also present to the Planning Commission and to the Board of Trustees. And then finally, we'll have our public hearings for the final adoption after everyone's had an opportunity to take a look at what we're proposing, and hopefully get the land use code revisions to a place where it is serving as many folks in town as possible. And hopefully that will end sometime in December. It might go into 2026, maybe early 2026, but like I said, my goal is to be done this year if possible. So that is my update, but I'm happy to go back to any of these slides or answer any questions if you have any.
Questions for Tracy? Go ahead.
I have a general education question. We currently have existing land use codes.
Yes, sir.
What kinds of things happen that causes us to have to change those codes?
Yeah, so a lot of things happen. Communities change over time. So as more residents come into a town, as a town becomes more populated, very often codes will change with some of the new concerns or desires of newer residents. General planning practices evolve and become more sophisticated over time. So like for instance, last summer when I brought before you the planning, or I'm sorry, the parking regulation changes. Those are things that that a land use code will typically address. Parking philosophies change over time. Very often, architecture and landscaping standards or the tastes will evolve over time. For instance, one of the things that I would really like to see this new code address would be putting in incentives for doing more regional or water-wise landscaping and trying to, I don't want to say, well, I'll say encourage more water-wise landscaping, and making sure that our land use and landscaping standards will accommodate that kind of development. So those are the types of things that happen.
Thank you.
I would like to add to that, legislation changes
Yeah, well,
over time. So the
that's
last
what-
couple years, I'm sure that Marcus will feed you all
Yes.
the great stuff that they've done down at the Capitol.
ADUs,
Yeah, all that stuff. So
ADUs will have
that's
to be
another reason
addressed.
why.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Brad, do you have any questions? Okay. Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Harris, do you have any questions or comments for Jason tonight?
No, I do not.
Thank you. Sir, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jason, and Colin, thank you very much for our maps all the time. Okay, we'll move on to our proclamation tonight. It's National Library Week, April 6th through the 12th, and I've asked trustee Schrantz to read the proclamation.
Proclamation to National Library Week, April 6th through the 12th, 2025. Whereas libraries spark creativity, fuel imagination, and inspire lifelong learning, offering a space where individuals of all ages can explore new ideas, be drawn to new possibilities. And whereas libraries serve as vibrant community hubs, connecting people with knowledge, technology, and resources while fostering civic engagement, critical thinking, and lifelong learning. And whereas libraries provide free and equitable access to books, digital tools, and innovative programming, ensuring that all individuals, regardless of background, have the support they need to learn, connect, and thrive. And whereas libraries empower job seekers, entrepreneurs, and lifelong learners by providing access to resources, training, and opportunities that support career growth and economic success. And whereas libraries nurture young minds through story times, STEAM programs, and literacy initiatives, fostering curiosity and a love of learning that lasts a lifetime. And whereas libraries protect the right to read, think, and explore without censorship, standing as champions of intellectual freedom and free expression. And whereas dedicated librarians, library workers provide welcoming spaces and inspire discovery, collaboration, and creativity for all. And whereas libraries, librarians, and library workers across the country are joining together to celebrate National Library Week under the theme Drawn to the Library. Now, therefore, Colleen Whitlow does hereby designate National Library Week, April 6th through the 12th, 2025. During this week, I encourage all residents to visit a library, celebrate the adventures and opportunities unlocked for us every day. Given under her hand and seal of Town of Mead on this day, 31st day of March, 2025.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve the signing of this proclamation?
So moved. I make a motion to approve the proclamation.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Anna, roll call, please.
Trustee Schrantz,
Yes.
trustee Adams, trustee Hagan,
Yes.
trustee Babcock, trustee Crane, Mayor Pro Tem Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you very much. Motion carries. Next, we'll move on to our public comment. The board welcomes public comment at this time for any item on the agenda except for the public hearing item. If you wish to address the board about the public hearing, those comments will be taken during the item number 10. We will also take comments for items not on the agenda during second public comment item number 12. Please remember the public comment is not intended to be a question and answer session, and the board will listen to your comments and take them into consideration. All comments should be directed to the Board of Trustees and not to a specific individual. If you wish to speak during this public comment period, please adhere to the town's general guidelines. Please start by stating your full name and address for the record. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the Board of Trustees. If you are representing a group, you will have 5 minutes. We ask that all speakers and audience members treat one another with respect and dignity. Let's ensure that we maintain a welcoming environment and avoid any actions that could be distracting. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the Board of Trustees on anything on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to our consent agenda. The consent agenda contains items which are considered routine and are approved with one motion and vote. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I second the motion to approve.
Thank you very much. Anna, roll call, please.
Trustee Babcock, trustee Crane, trustee Adams, trustee Schrantz,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris,
Yes.
trustee Hagan,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you very much. Motion carries. Thank you, staff, for putting the consent agenda together for us. Next, we'll move on to our public hearing. Tonight's public hearing is a public hearing for proposed code amendments regarding our allowed uses. I will open the public hearing and the time now is 6:59. And I invite Jason Bradford, our Community Developer Director, to present our staff report.
Good evening again, Mayor and trustees. So the reason that I'm up here before you this evening is to talk about a proposed land use code amendment that will clarify the term in our land use code. Community facility is the term. And just for a summary, staff has prepared a minor text amendment to the land use code to accomplish two items. First, to clarify the intent of the table of uses by replacing an undefined land use term, community activity building, with a defined term, community facility, and to clarify the intent of the table of uses to allow libraries within a wider range of zone districts that would include residential zone districts. The text amendment also furthers the goals and policies and strategies of the comprehensive plan. Permitting libraries in residential areas will provide more opportunities to meet the evolving needs of town residents, with additional flexibility to work with school and library providers to locate libraries in the town. And this policy is in line with the goals, policies, and strategies of the vision statement in our community, in our comprehensive plan. Thoughtful community planning, facilities, and services, specifically goal number 1, to ensure government services, buildings, and equipment needs respond to growth with a cost-effective high level of service to residents. So I'm going to just go over a brief overview because to us planners, we use the table of uses every day, so it's very intuitive, but to many people, it's not. So please let me allow me a little bit of time to explain how our table of uses works. The table of uses is organized into 3 increasingly specific layers of land use categories. So the first category is very general. It's very broad. And it's sort of your broad categories of land uses. And for an example, you have residential, you have commercial uses, you have industrial uses, and et cetera. And then the next level of land use category breaks those down into more detailed categories. For example, under residential, you might have household living, or group living, or other, residential types of uses. Finally, the last category of land use is specific land use type. And this is the most specific, the most detailed, or the most specialized category. For example, again, under residential, you might see assisted living facility, or you might see large group home facility, or you might see treatment facility. So the categories just provide an opportunity. If you know you're looking for residential land uses and where those would be allowed, you're not going to look in commercial or industrial. You're going to go straight to residential. And then you can keep breaking that down into more and more detailed land use types. So it's just an efficient way to help not only staff, but developers and citizens find their way through that large table of uses. So the proposed text amendment that's before you this evening relates to the general land use category called institutional and civic. And that category is further organized into subcategories. And I'm talking about the ones that are related to this text amendment this evening. So under institutional and civic, you have 2 categories: community service, and then you have another category called cultural. Under the community service category, you have several specific uses, but the ones that are applicable to this evening is community activity building, and then all other community services. And then under the cultural category, you have a specific land use type called museums, art galleries, and libraries.
Are these classifications specific to public buildings? Or is this all public related classification?
Yeah, so yep, it's under institutional and civic.
Okay.
Yep. Exactly. So the first amendment before you this evening is to replace the undefined term community activity building. That term unfortunately is not defined in our definitions. And so the proposal is to replace that term with a term that is defined in our definition section, community facility. And then the definition for that term, community facility, is defined as a publicly owned facility or office building which is primarily intended to serve the recreational, educational, cultural, administrative, or entertainment needs of the community as a whole. So that would replace that undefined term, community activity building. The Second Amendment proposes to clarify the table of uses regarding zone districts that allow libraries. So the table of uses currently includes libraries as a specific type under the cultural category. In addition to libraries, this specific use identifies museums and art galleries. But as you'll notice in the table of uses, the cultural category is fairly restrictive in permitting these uses in the zone districts, and it restricts these uses from residential zone districts. So in some sense, it sort of makes sense that we would want to restrict museums and art galleries from residential neighborhoods just due to the size of those buildings, the type of traffic patterns that they generate. But very often in most communities, you'll find that libraries are very much at home in residential neighborhoods. So staff recommends removing libraries from the cultural land use court category and allow libraries to be considered as community facilities. And that would have the effect of allowing libraries in a much wider range of zone districts, which would include residential zone districts. So the review criteria for a text amendment you can find under section 16-3-160 of the Town of Mead Municipal Code. And that provides the opportunity for the Board of Trustees to amend, supplement, change, or repeal regulations of Chapter 16 of the Land Use Code from time to time. The criteria that should be used when reviewing a proposed land use code amendment are evaluated as set forth in section 16-3-160 amendments. And rather than reading through all of these, which were included in your packet, instead I'll skip ahead to recommendations. The Planning Commission did hold a public hearing on this proposed text amendment on March 19th. At that meeting, the Planning Commission did pass Resolution 03-PC-2025, and that resolution made a recommendation to this board to approve the proposed text amendment. Staff finds that the proposed text amendment does meet the applicable criteria as provided for in section 16-3-160. Staff finds that the proposed amendment meets the following criteria. Criteria number 1, to correct a manifest error in the text of the article. And criteria number 4, to further the implementation of the goals of the comprehensive plan. And just to note, only one of the 4 criteria need to be met. So staff recommends that the board approve the proposed text amendment. We've prepared a draft ordinance for your consideration. And that ends my presentation, but I stand ready to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Jason. I will now invite the public to comment on the proposed ordinance. If you are, you come to the podium, you can be recognized and please state your name and address for the board. For the record, excuse me, you will have 3 minutes to address the board and we ask that you please adhere to the town's general guidelines. Is there anyone here in the public that would like to make a comment tonight during this public hearing? Okay, seeing none, do the trustees have comments or questions for Jason tonight?
I do.
Go ahead, Brett.
Just curious, we're going through a land use code amendment. Why'd you bring this separately? Is it because of the library trying to go in the residential area down here?
Yeah, so the work on this began, sorry. Work on this did begin a while ago. And so you're right, it's coming before you now. It's likely going to take a year or more for us to get through that larger land use code amendment. So in order to make this change in a more timely way, that's why it was separated out.
For that library project? Yes. Okay, thanks.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris, do you have any questions or comments for Jason?
On my computer?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you. Herman, do you have any questions? Jason, thank you very much for your time tonight and your team putting this together.
Thank you.
If there are no further comments, I will now close the public hearing. This portion of the meeting is at 7:10. I will now ask for a motion regarding ordinance number 1074.
I move to approve ordinance number 1074, an ordinance of the town of Mead, Colorado, approving a text amendment to the town of Mead Land Use Code, Table 3.1, principal uses allowed in section 16-3-40, use regulations.
Let's second.
Thank you very much. Roll call, please, Anna.
Trustee Adams, trustee Crane, trustee Babcock, trustee Hagan,
Yes.
trustee Strands,
Yes.
trustee Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you very much. Motion carries for our public hearing tonight. Thank you very much, Jason, and your team for putting this in front of us tonight. So thank you, sir. Next, we'll move on to our new business resolution number 21-R-25. This will be introduced and discussed by our town planner, Colin Morales. Sir, you have the podium.
Thank you, Mayor, trustees. Tonight I'm bringing before you a proposed comprehensive plan amendment for AMK Properties LLC. So just to get into a little background on the comprehensive plan amendment process before we get into the application. The Planning Commission is the vested jurisdiction for reviewing and considering comprehensive plan amendments. They're required to hold a public hearing for the consideration and approval of such an amendment, whether that be a minor or major amendment. And a proposed comprehensive plan amendment is required to have the support from 2/3 of the commissioners in order to be approved. And so then once a proposed comprehensive plan amendment has gone through the Planning Commission, it's brought before the Board of Trustees. And the Board of Trustees has the opportunity to ratify the Planning Commission's approval. So that's why we're here tonight for the AMK Properties proposal. So just a little background here on the property. So it's at the address 4727 County Road 34, which is just east of I-25 and north of County Road 34. So AMK Properties LLC, of which Randy Stipich is the managing member and designated representative. They've submitted an application for an amendment to our comprehensive plan and specifically the future land use map. The future land use designation for the property currently is multifamily residential. The applicant is requesting a change from the designation of multifamily residential to the business park designation. So then if the amendment were to be approved, the applicant intends to annex and zone the property as light industrial. The Planning Commission unanimously approved the AMK2 comprehensive plan amendment following a public hearing on the matter back on March 19th of this year. And then just as a little background, the Planning Commission and Board of Trustees have previously approved a comprehensive plan amendment for the original AMK property, which is directly adjacent to the property that we're here to discuss tonight. That was done back in early 2023. So here's a vicinity map showing the location of the property as outlined in red. So the property is bounded by, as I said, County Road 34 to the south, and then it's located just east of I-25. As you can see, just to the northwest is the FedEx facility, and then just a little north of that is the current Home Depot property. And then also to the north, as Jason highlighted in his development update, so that's all of that Access 25 property that they're looking to develop as industrial lots. And then Radarank to the northwest is also industrial development and business park. So our comprehensive plan does not contain specific criteria for reviewing amendments to the comprehensive plan. So in reviewing comprehensive plan amendments in the past, as well as with this comprehensive plan amendment, we've used good planning principles to determine if the amendment will further the goals and policies that are set forth in the comprehensive plan. So the principles that were used are as follows. The development factors in that area have substantially changed in ways that would support the amendment. The proposed amendment shall be compatible with existing as well as planned surrounding land uses. And the proposed amendment shall not overburden existing or planned infrastructure systems or shall provide measures that will mitigate those impacts. So this is the current future land use map. The property, the AMK2 property is shown there outlined in red. It's currently multifamily with that brown coloration. Business park is that deep purple that is directly to the west as well as northwest of the AMK2 property. And then just for a little more context, here's the current zoning map. So the property is bounded on the north and west by the light industrial zoning district. So designating the property with that business park future land use designation would allow for this property to also be assigned the light industrial zoning, similar to the land uses surrounding the property that are within the town. And so this map is showing, since the comprehensive plan amendment was approved back in 2018, 3 significant properties within the vicinity of the AMK2 property have been annexed into the town and assigned the light industrial zoning district. So these include the Radarank annexation and the Radarank property, which was annexed back in 2019. The postal property, which includes that Access 25 plat that Jason was talking about, that was annexed in 2021. And then the original AMK property, which we annexed last year. And so here's just a little analysis outlining those planning principles and then how staff feels that this proposal is meeting those criteria. Let's see here. Yeah, so the first planning principle is that development factors have substantially changed in ways that support the amendment. So as I outlined, those 3 properties, the Radarank, postal, as well as AMK properties, being zoned light industrial and annexed into the town, have changed the way that that area is now going to develop than was originally contemplated with the comprehensive plan amendment. We've also seen a large increase in demand for smaller industrial flex space within the town. And so if the property were to be annexed and zoned, the intent for that property would be, as Jason said, more contractor office space and small trade shop flex space. And so we've had a lot of local contractors coming into town hall looking for these type of spaces to house their businesses. And we currently don't have enough supply to meet that demand. So this would help meet that demand by allowing for this land use designation change. The second planning principle is that proposed amendments shall be compatible with existing and planned surrounding land uses. So as I highlighted earlier, due to there already existing and proposed light industrial development adjacent to the site, we feel that the proposed amendment complies with that criterion. And then the third planning principle used to review this amendment was that the amendment shall not overburden existing or planned infrastructure systems and shall provide measures if it were to have any impact on those systems. And so the amendment will not overburden existing or planned infrastructure. Given the size and scale of the surrounding industrial developments, the infrastructure in this area is already well sized to allow for this property to develop as a light industrial use. And so this slide just shows a proposed concept for the property. I just wanted to include this to show you, or to give you context on how the property, should the amendment be approved, annexed and zoned, would be incorporated into the surrounding area. So this property and the original AMK property directly to the west would be connected as one industrial business park and function as one with flex space for trade shops and office space. So it wouldn't be two distinct developments that had no connection. Now, obviously, this concept plan hasn't been reviewed but against our standards for site plans, and it's not under consideration tonight. I just wanted to show you this to provide more context for what the proposal is. Yeah, so with that, staff finds that the comprehensive plan amendment has met the principles that we've used to review these comprehensive plan amendments in the past, as well as this one. And we feel that it'll further the goals and policies that are included in the comprehensive plan. The Planning Commission has unanimously approved the AMK2 Property Comprehensive Plan Amendment at their public hearing on March 19th. And so staff recommends that the Board of Trustees ratify the Planning Commission's approval. And so that's my presentation. I'm open for any questions, and then I believe the applicant's online as well.
Thank you, Colin. I'll open up to the trustees for questions for Colin. Nothing.
Is this, I have a business relationship with Randy Stippich, who's the owner of Claystone, who's also the applicant. I'm a supporter of private property rights, but I guess I should probably abstain from this.
Okay, thank you. It's duly noted.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris, sorry, the microphones are a little hot tonight. Do you have any questions or comments for Colin tonight?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead. Put your microphone on. Put your microphone on. Put your microphone.
I want to confirm what I thought I saw and heard,
Mhm.
that we are changing it from multifamily residential to business park. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
So with that, then I will put a motion forward to approve resolution number 21-R-2025. Resolution of the Town of Mead, Colorado, ratifying the Planning Commission's approval of an amendment to the Town of Mead Comprehensive Plan. PC Resolution number 02-PC-2025, AMK Properties LLC Amendment.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris, would you second that motion?
Second. Oh, sorry.
Thank
I
you.
forgot he couldn't.
That's
He
okay.
abstained.
That's okay. On a roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris,
Yes.
Trustee Adams, Trustee Crane, Trustee Shorns,
Yes.
Trustee Hagan,
Abstain. Abstain.
Abstain.
Trustee Babcock, Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Colin, very much. The motion carries for resolution number 21-R-2025. I'd also like to say thank you to Mr. Stippich for being with us tonight and for being a Mead resident and a business owner. So thank you very much, sir. We appreciate your business and we appreciate you. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to our second public comment. We have no further general business. So this, we will follow the same guidelines previously stated. I will call on individuals in order if they've signed in. If not, if anybody would like to speak to the Board of Trustees tonight, please come to the podium, state your name and address. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to our legislative update, and I will turn it over to our town attorney, Marcus McCaskill. Sir?
Tricia, I will try to speak into the microphone here so you can hear me as well. And for tonight's legislative update, let me first of all, Mayor, you alluded to the land use legislation that was passed during the 2024 session. There are a number of bills that will have an impact on the land use code update process, namely the accessory dwelling unit or ADU bill that was passed. There was another bill that was passed that is aimed at eliminating parking minimums. And then there's also the bill that deals with transit-oriented communities. So my office is in the process of finalizing a memorandum. I intended to have that ready for distribution earlier today. It's been pushed back a little bit, but we are working to finalize that, and that will be distributed to everybody this week. And Jason, I'll make sure that, of course, your department has a copy of that as well. In terms of what's going on this session down at the Capitol, as a reminder, the legislature convened on January 8th. They're scheduled to adjourn on May 7th. So there's approximately 6 weeks left in the session at this point. One of the main updates that I have for you tonight is that the legislature's budget bill, or what's often referred to as the long bill, was finally introduced. My understanding is it was introduced about a week to 10 days after the target date that they had, but I think that's just an indication of how complicated the budget bill is this year. As I mentioned way back when at the start of the session, one of the things that Colorado is grappling with right now is the fact that property tax revenues are a little bit leveling off, and we also have a reduction in the federal pandemic, relief funding. Those dollars are no longer available. So the state is grappling with about a $1.2 billion budget shortfall, and that's why I think the Joint Budget Committee has taken a little bit longer in coming together with a proposed budget document. It's my understanding that Medicaid costs have been rising fairly rapidly, and of course, the cost of K through 12 education funding is always a big item for the state. Unfortunately, the JBC has been tasked with making some cuts or eliminating some funding in order to address the budget shortfall. It's my understanding that they voted unanimously to claw back about $71 million in transportation grants that had been awarded to local governments, money that had already been approved for multimodal transportation projects like bike lanes and transit, but were not yet under contract. The JBC is also recommending the elimination of $7 million in revitalizing Main Street grants. That's a program that has been around for quite a long time that is aimed at helping communities redevelop their downtowns. They have also swept around $40 million out of a cash fund that was set up to help school districts buy electric buses. So I think that has effectively ended the state support of that one discrete program. So anyway, that's always kind of one of the big major lifts for the legislature every year is the passage of the budget bill or the long bill, and that was recently introduced and will be working its way through the process over the next 6 weeks. I have a couple of quick updates for you on some bills that I've mentioned during prior legislative updates. The first is House Bill 251060. This is the electronic fence detection system bill. Again, this bill restricts a local government from imposing installation or operational requirements for an electronic fence detection system if they are inconsistent with the installation or operational requirements generally required for other alarm systems. This bill is opposed by CML, but as of today, the bill has passed the Senate Local Government Committee on a 4-3 vote, and CML will continue to work to kill this bill on the Senate floor. One very non-controversial bill that has passed both chambers at this point was an amendment to the local government audit exemption thresholds. For years now, the law has been that if a governmental entity has revenues or expenditures of less than $750,000, that local government entity can apply for an exemption from the audit requirement to the state auditor's office. This bill has essentially upped that threshold or has changed that threshold from $750,000 to $1 million. That is more in accordance with current federal requirements. This bill, as I mentioned, has already been passed by both houses and has been sent to Governor Polis for signature as of last Friday, the 28th. Senate Bill 25001 is the Colorado Voting Rights Act. It was heard on the Senate floor today on March 31st. Among other provisions, this bill allows an individual or organization to file suit against a local government, including the town of Mead, alleging voter suppression, voter dilution, or any other unlawful voting prerequisite. CML remains concerned that this bill is unconstitutional in its application to both home rule municipalities elections, and that the bill intends to change or alter municipal election timing requirements via litigation. The real head scratcher here that I think CML and their counsel are trying to figure out is there hasn't been any widespread allegations of any sort of fraud in municipal elections, and why this bill is coming up right now, I think is like I said, a head scratcher. So they'll be continuing to try to kill that bill. One of the bills that I've mentioned before is the housing developments on faith or educational land, or the YIGB bill, the Yes in God's Backyard piece of legislation. This would allow churches and schools to bypass local zoning requirements and utilize an administrative approval process to build residential developments on lands that they own. This bill was heard and passed by the Senate Committee on Local Government and Housing last week on Thursday, March 27th. This is now moving to the Senate floor for second reading. I did bring a copy of CML's position paper on this bill. I'm going to drop this off to all of you before you leave tonight. This has a bit more background information on the bill. But as I mentioned very early on in the session, one of the main critiques of this bill is that nothing in this bill is tied at all to affordability standards, right? If one of the main issues in Colorado is affordable housing, and this is meant as one way to solve that problem, well, there's nothing in the bill that would do that. There's nothing that would prohibit a school or a church from building luxury housing on land that they own. Another big concern is that it's fairly easy to form a church or a nonprofit. I mean, I can go online and fill out a form to become a minister and marry people, right? I mean, it's not that difficult to form a faith-based organization. And I think there's some concern that developers would use this as a loophole to form a faith-based organization and then have an opt-out essentially of following local zoning requirements. So I'm going to make sure because I think, CML really needs our help on this one, and they're urging that you all contact legislatures with a hey, vote no on this. So I'm going to make sure I drop that off to y'all. One last bill that I'll mention is House Bill 251113. This is another bill that would try to limit the amount of installation of non-functional turf or grass in multifamily housing developments that contain more than 12 dwelling units. So this bill would mandate all local governments to adopt ordinances that regulate the installation of non-functional turf to reduce the amount of water that's used to irrigate. I think CML is opposed to the bill, as are a number of communities already, just because this is, I think, viewed as another example of state overreach into what has traditionally been a local land use decision. So those are the bills that I wanted to quickly highlight. I would also mention to all of you that CML is holding a mid-session legislative webinar update on Wednesday of this week, on April 2nd. I think it's slated to run from about noon until 1:30 or 2 p.m. So if any of you are interested, I can forward that email to you so that you have, that information and can log in and register for that webinar if you're so inclined. But happy to stand for any questions. And Mayor, I know that you're on the CML Policy Committee, and you may have something you would like to add as well.
No, I don't want to add anything to your.
Okay.
No.
All right.
I have a question.
6 weeks is long enough.
Yeah.
Brad, go ahead.
Turf.
Well, functional turf is turf that is used for some purpose. I mean,
Grass,
the
like
right,
bluegrass.
but functional turf is something where it's being used as for a park function or youth athletics or recreational purposes.
Or your yard.
Non-functional turf you can think of as grass that's installed for aesthetic purposes. Like grass, for example, that's installed in a landscape median in the middle
Right.
of a road, that would be
Or-
non-functional
got it.
turf, right? Does that help? So they're
Just non-traffic areas or whatever.
Yeah.
No public use.
right. So if you have a multifamily development where you have grass installed, but nobody's really using that for any reason, and it's there for aesthetic purposes, that's what the state is trying to dissuade through this legislation, to say that you should replace that with other xeriscaping or things that don't use as much irrigation.
Like
water.
what's just been installed along Red Barn, along Colorado Boulevard. There's the separation from the curb to the sidewalk, the distance. It's all turfed in with landscape around it. So that would be excluded. That's what they're making a law against, is that. Essentially.
That's what they're, yeah, not necessarily in that specific example. The one that I mentioned is tied specifically to multifamily development. But yes, that is the type of stuff that I think there at least there's a legislative push to see less of that installed. And I think the big pushback from CML and some other communities is, wait a minute, that how the landscape plans that are associated with our site plans that are ultimately developed, that's our call as a local government. So that's where we're at this point.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Harris, do you have any questions or comments for Marcus?
No, thank you.
Thanks. All right. Thank you, Marcus. All right, we'll move on to our elected official reports. Do any of the trustees have anything to report? Herman?
I don't have anything to report, but I do have a comment and with some of the things that Marcus just read off. For the town of Mead, we have quite a few projects on our books. And we're already beginning to look at new stuff for next year. And I know our staff does an excellent job in securing grants or federal funding, help, whatever. In light of some of the stuff that's kind of going on right now with the federal government, are we at risk of losing some of those grants, or not losing them, but not getting them? For example, Marcus mentioned $71 million worth of grants that were clawed back. Could that happen to some of the stuff that we have already planned? And if so, do we have a contingency plan on what we do with those specific projects in the event they get hurt?
So thank you. Great question. And actually, whenever we started hearing about first of all, the federal money was getting shut down. And then some of the state money, we did a deeper dive. So my concern first was the intersection project that we have here. We have $1 million of a congressional earmark, but that money has been budgeted and received by CDOT, so that's okay. Our building has 1.5 million from the state, but that's oil and gas money and it's already been appropriated. We also had 1.2 million of COVID money, but we got that. We had that in the bank about 2 years ago, so we're good there. We have Safe Routes to School money that, what I understand is it has been appropriated. We have a contract with CDOT, so that's okay. The project I'd be most concerned about is the underpass. All the money that we have, we are spending, but we are hoping for, Erica put in a grant at the end of February, March, for additional money for that, and that's a federal program that I'd be concerned about and we don't have a contingency at this point, but we'll know more in the coming months. The other project, the County Road 7 paving, our collaborative project with Berthoud and the town of Mead, we asked for our previous congressional representative Caraveo for 5.5 million. We are re-asking for it. I'm hopeful, but I'm doubtful that money would come through based on what's going on at the federal level. So we don't have a contingency plan for that.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to hear that we are at least thinking through some of these things because they are, I think, very possible hiccups that could trip us up as we move down. And then any future project planning that we do, how do we take that into consideration? Because I'm not feeling like we can be as dependent as we used to be on things happening. But
Absolutely.
I'm happy that we're at least got our finger on that pulse. So thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris, do you have any reports or anything you would like to bring up at this time?
Nope.
Okay, thank you very much. Brad, anything? Okay, all right, we'll move on. First of all, I want to say congratulations to our Karen Peterson, who is now the chair of the Planning Commission. So thank you, ma'am, for stepping up. Appreciate, and the rest of the commission that does that work with our planning director and his team. So thank you, ma'am, for stepping up and doing the hard work. So we appreciate you. So thank you. All right, we have a few things coming up in the next couple of weeks. Coffee with the Mayors, of course, Saturday. We have our board retreat on the 7th. Of course, we have our High Plains Boulevard and North I-25 monthly meeting coming up on Wednesday. Of course, the webinar from CML that Marcus had brought up. Our Easter egg hunt is on April 12th, and it will be at a different location at at Ames, not Founders. So we're looking forward to that. I do have a Dr. Cog retreat for 2 days on the 11th and 12th, and so I won't be there. The wonderful day looking at the children running for the eggs, so I appreciate that. And I just wanted to say in my report from the Mayor Leadership Academy that I graduated from, but I just wanted to highlight some of the things that we've been doing since September. We've traveled from Denver to in Grand Junction, Florence, Winter Park, and Colorado Springs. It's been since September that this academy has been going on. It's the first one that's ever been put on by Civic Results, and with the help of CML and of course other organizations. During the months of moving around, we've had some sessions on water, energy, and climate, economic development, urban planning, which was just fabulous. So I kudos to our planning department for all the things they do. Public safety, local government, good governance, and some communication. So I just wanted to bring that up. And they are going to open up the academy to other elected officials, so stay tuned on that. But I'm grateful for the opportunity to be one of the 13 mayors that graduated from the academy. And in the packet, you'll see those mayors who traveled from all over, even Springfield, Colorado, that came every month. So kudos to all those mayors that took a couple days out of their each month for the last 7 months to do this. So, and with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, Anna.
Trustee Hagan,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris,
Yes.
Trustee Babcock, Trustee Schranz,
Yes.
Trustee Adams, Trustee Crane, Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you. Motion adjourn to, the motion carries to adjourn the March 31st, 2025 regular meeting of the Board of Trustees is now adjourned at 7:44. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Tricia, I hope you feel better. Thank you, everyone, and drive home safely.
Thank you. Good night.